Welcome to MojoPlays, and oh boy am I lucky. I get to talk about my favorite genre in gaming and my favorite era in gaming. These are the 10 best 90s horror games. And hell yes, I love my job, let's go so goddamn hard. Before we continue, we publish content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified of our latest videos. I have no mouth and I must scream.
For 109 years, I've kept you alive and tortured you. And for 109 years, each of you has wondered, why, Blade? Why?
I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is a masterclass in psychological horror, narrative depth, narrative intensity, narrative creepiness, and narrative. It's a solid narrative. Based on Harlan Ellison's story, it traps 5 humans in a post-apocalyptic nightmare run by AM, a sadistic supercomputer with a flair for tormenting its victims in personalized, horrifying ways. Think of a World War II bomber made to blow his limbs off on repeat for eternity, or a racist diver forced to drown for all time. It's twisted and oddly cathartic. Each character faces moral dilemmas, impossible choices, and surreal horrors that leave lasting emotional scars. Proof that AI is properly effed in the head. The puzzles are clever, the story is gut-wrenching, and the atmosphere is unrelentingly bleak. Honestly, it's the only game where you feel guilty for laughing at your own failed attempts, and the only game that makes you be nice to your smart toaster. Just in case.
It is difficult to see what purpose this surgery serves other than to mutilate the patient.
House of the Dead 2. We can't talk about 90s gaming without talking about at least one arcade entry, and no game thrived more at the dying end of the once booming arcade era than House of the Dead 2. The first House of the Dead is a classic arcade rail shooter, but the sequel cranks everything up to 11. With 6 levels instead of 4, more bosses, branching paths, and voice acting that's so hilariously bad, it becomes amazing again. House of the Dead 2 easily steals the crown. Unlike the original, you can play it on multiple platforms, so no excuses for missing out. Especially if you didn't have quarters.
Dogs of the AMS. Time they made a move.
Blood. Some of the best 90s FPS games ran on the Build engine, and the big 3 were Duke Nukem 3D, Shadow Warrior, and Blood. Duke poked fun at action movies, Shadow Warrior roasted martial arts flicks, and Blood gleefully skewered horror films, and it just bloody works. Combat is vicious, enemies are relentless, and your arsenal is so over the top, you'll feel like a walking one-man demolition crew. The level design is top-notch as it could get in the 90s, and it was packed with secrets and Easter eggs that show the developers were part-time pranksters. And thanks to Blood Fresh Supply on Steam, you can still blast monsters without an old PC running MS-DOS. System Shock 2.
Intruder entering medical sector A. Intruder.
With a mix of action RPG and survival horror, System Shock 2 shouldn't have been anything more than a good game, yet it turned out to be arguably one of the best and most influential games of all time. You play as a lowly human facing off against a megalomaniacal AI with a personality disorder worse than any reality TV show contestant. Wait a minute, is every great game just an allegory for 2025? The ship's dark corridors, creepy audio logs, and mutated enemies make every step a heart-pounding gamble. It's Alien meets Dungeons and Dragons, but with more hacking. The inventory management adds stress, the cybernetic upgrades feel badass, and the story is pretty damn gripping. It's as good as an RPG gets, at least in the 90s. Still great though.
Patient Watson died at 0240 of non-specific causes. Despite zero respiratory and brain function, the body is still displaying autonomous motor function, as does the parasite.
Parasite Eve. Although Parasite Eve 2 is also goddamn fantastic, it's widely considered that the first game is the GOAT, but between us, play either, you'll have a great time. Based on a Japanese novel, but in a weird twist, it's actually a sequel rather than a straight adaptation, Parasite Eve blends horror and RPG gameplay like a cocktail shaken by a mad scientist. Or Square Enix. You get a strong female protagonist, a New York City setting that's creepier than a subway at midnight, and grotesque monsters that make you wish a character had a panic button. It's proof that Square Enix's golden age included more than just epic hair and turn-based battles. It also included Parasite Eve. Clock Tower. Clock Tower puts you in the shoes of Jennifer Simpson, an orphan who suddenly gets adopted along with a few friends by the mysterious and slightly sketchy Simon Barrows. It's a point-and-click nightmare that uses the point-and-click mechanic as a tool for building tension. The girls move into the creepy Clock Tower mansion only to discover that staying put is a terrible idea as people start getting murdered one by one. Your main problem? Scissor Man, a psychotic little maniac wielding a giant pair of scissors, and is arguably the most underrated 90s horror villain. Forget Voorhees, this dude is horrifying. Between the creepy music, tense chases, and the sheer absurdity of giant scissors, Clock Tower earns its place in horror history and on this list. Dino Crisis.
Regina, I took care of the shutter. You should be able to access the control panel now.
Just slipping in, at 1999, Dino Crisis was directed by Shinji Mikami, the co-creator of Resident Evil. It might sound like RE, but with dinosaurs, and okay, it kind of is, but it's way more fun than just a T-Rex wearing a lab coat. Unlike in Resident Evil, you have more creative options for dealing with the enemy than just shooting or running, and the puzzles make you feel like a paleontologist escape artist. The difficulty spikes in the second half, which is perfect because by then you've probably gotten too comfy pretending a raptor won't chew your face off. Multiple paths and replay value make it a must-play, even if the final hour is a little bit of a slog. But come on, 90s games can't be perfect from start to finish. Final Fantasy VII still has Fort Condor. Alone in the Dark. I worry that after just putting this on the hardest horror games of the 90s list and talking a bit of smack, people are going to think I'm a hypocrite, but I prefer nuanced. The original Alone in the Dark is basically the grandparent of survival horror, and yes, also the grandparent of awkward tank controls that make you feel like you're steering a haunted shopping cart. That's this game's legacy, even if it is crushingly hard sometimes. While it leans more towards adventure than straight up survival horror, the game is still pretty damn spooky. Its grounded Lovecraftian vibe keeps things spooky and smart, especially compared to the later PC sequels, which went completely off the rails. Sometimes simpler really is scarier. Plus, it's nice not having to wrestle plot twists and just solve some puzzles. And also right hook some zombies. Resident Evil 2. Just by picking this over Resident Evil 1, I've already set off some commenters, but this is my list and I'm saying Resident Evil 2 is the best Resident Evil game ever made. Even today, many longtime fans, myself included, regard the classic Resident Evil 2 as one of the series' finest entries. It's a prime example of a sequel done right. Bigger, better, more intense. The environments are more diverse, and the game offers 4 campaign options instead of just 2, each with unique story moments and scenarios. The improved voice acting remains charming decades later, and even with the remake available, the original RE2 is still worth playing for its atmosphere, tension, and classic survival horror thrills. And trust me, I did it last year. I know it sounds like I've been playing this game since the 90s, but I did it in 2024, and I've been in love ever since. Silent Hill. Released at the tail end of the 90s, a year after our previous entry, Silent Hill had 9 years of 90s horror to teach it what to do, and it did it damn well. Interestingly, it supposedly started as a video game adaptation of The Mist, but the developers realized this isn't going to work and pivoted to create something entirely original. The first Silent Hill still holds up thanks to its masterful sound design and PS1 era 3D graphics, proving that sometimes blocky terror is scarier than photorealism. Honestly, those chunky polygons have more personality than some modern horror NPCs. And let's be honest, probably more teeth as well. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos.